Hey guys, Mustached here to review Jurassic World Rebirth. So I've seen the trailer for this a few times, and decided to go ahead and give it a shot. Of course, I'll be reviewing this as objectively as possible. And with that said, let's dive right in. So this appears to be like a soft sequel, instead of a soft reboot of sorts. As we cut to apparently 17 years ago, where on one of the many islands where the dinosaurs were inhabited, a group of scientists were genetically mixed breeding dinosaurs. And we see this guy, drop this chocolate bar wrapper, and its movements are like akin to almost like a Final Destination opening as they make their way inside to get like to get stuck on inside on the interior to cause the outbreak of said dinosaur red creature to get out, and of course have at least one of the people get cut. We now cut to present day, and boy, this movie really defined itself, because I think this is pretty accurate to where we are currently in an alternate timeline, because it's 32 years later. I think if I did the math, I think it's around the time Jurassic Park, the original, around that era came out. Anywho, so Jurassic World is now in this, system where we're seeing a shift in how the dinosaurs are behaving. We're in this busy city, and we're following the super rich guy who sees up ahead, he's in like traffic, and up ahead, what is causing the traffic jam is a dying dinosaur. It is made apparent to us, the audience, that the dinosaurs are dying out in certain areas and can only inhabit more, tropical areas, essentially. Anyway, so our mercenary, Bennett, played by Scarlett Johansson, gets in the car and the rich guy mentions how much deep money she can potentially get in pretty much joining her, on top of Loomis, this doctor, who already says that, and this is our setup essentially, with 3 blood samples from each dino type, they can essentially work on some pretty amazing cures. Essentially, is the baseline of this, of the reason they're going to one of the only area, or one of the only areas where dinosaurs remain habitable. So they reach the boat guy, their boatmen, to have them travel there to increase their money to have him join in. And during our little setup, our mercenary grabs the gun. We see her the poster there with that Trink gun that takes out the blood. That she will be the one mainly responsible for doing the gunning, as it were. However, we have a secondary plot. We have a family unit, or sort of. We have a father and 2 daughters, an older one and a younger one, and the older daughter's, I believe, boyfriend, I guess, is what's implied here. And he comes across, the boyfriend kind of comes across as this sort of lazy guy initially. But anyway, their boat gets slammed against, and the boat turns on its side as they get attacked by one of the water-based dinosaur. So the dad gets back up from falling off, and Savior, it was inside, so he has to make his way back out. He manages to grab something. But the other group, our mercenary group, was what I'll call them for short, learns of this family's plight at some point and decide to shift course to pick them up first. They do so and continue to get chased by these dinosaurs as she almost gets knocked off as well. But one of the other individuals named Bobby gets grabbed and picked off instead by another dinosaur. The daughter almost gets herself nabbed, and there are a lot of close calls with her, particularly. But anyway, this causes her to fall into the water, or the older daughter, excuse me, and that causes Savior to dive in after her to go save her. Later on, the younger daughter, and the father also jump off the boat as to rejoin them as our mercenary group splits off, getting to the shoreline a little bit quicker, but not out of danger yet, as another dinosaur that is on the shore already kind of swirls around and picks off one of the other lesser known crew, essentially, this other lady that came with them. So we learn more, or our mercenary teams learn more about this crossbreeding that has been left to be occupied for, but then begin to move deeper into the forest, as they have already collected the sample through their trial with the swimming creature. They actually got that one first. So they only need a land and air-based creature's blood now, essentially. Meanwhile, the doc that is with them mentions Ellen Grant. He's a student, I guess, of his. And eventually, we follow Xavier, who whacks a few bushes but upsets a dinosaur, so they decide to go another way. So our rich guy finds the helicopter with the gun. I believe this is from the third movie, I think? I don't remember, it's been a while. And the father talks with Savior alone while the two daughters are asleep, about him, being more than he leads on, more than this lazy guy, as it were. Meanwhile, the daughter feeds one of the smaller dinosaurs that is like a herbivore, and proceeds to sleep on the bag. This dinosaur will gain the ability to teleport. I'm just gonna say that now. Anyway, easy joke aside, Savior feels like he needs to take a piss. As he does so, he almost gets nearly attacked by these two velociraptors, but a flying dinosaur hunts them down instead. Meanwhile, our mercenary group has made their way into this high grass area where they reach the mutated or slightly bigger sort of Brachiosaurus dinos with their super long tails. This is, of course, to try to pay tribute to the original Jurassic Park, where they first saw the dinosaurs when they got to the herbivores on that movie. the duck cries to try to resell the idea that this is still a much more beautiful thing. And it's not the only moment where this movie is going to take from the original. Boy, oh boy, that's far from over. Anyway. So the mercenary takes the shot, gaining their second of 3 needed blood samples. So the daughter, meanwhile, the younger, pulls the small dinosaur herbivore along. So he's, or she, because all the dinosaurs are female. Sorry, I remember that from Jurassic Park, so let me fix that. But life found a way, so I remember that too. So I will just assume that it's a she for now. Brings the little dinosaur along. Savior gets pulled down by this like soft grass area, and the rest of the family fall through. They kind of follow along this shoreline as they're like near the water, as the older daughter finds this boat. So the older daughter goes for the boat as she reaches it and gets almost harassed by what I called in my notes the fang spitter, the one with the wavy and does the hissy noises, but is scared off by the massive dinosaur known as the T-Rex. You know, the vintage, the one on the trailers. So she still aims for the boat, getting to the floaty boat. We see this in the trailer where the family is on the boat and the T-Rex is essentially chasing them. So that's what this setup is for. So it knocks over the floaty at some point. The father nearly gets bitten underwater, so another close call. The small daughter, to pay, I guess this is like to pay homage to the car scene from the original Jurassic Park, except they're in the water this time with the T-Rex. She's underneath the raft, like how the kids are underneath the car, as the dinosaur is like, the T-Rex is like trying to bite through the glass. It is trying to bite through the rubber in this instance, or whatever that boat stuff is made out of. And it manages to grab the raft, but she barely kind of pulls away, and also barely manages to also escape as well. So, with the flying type, the doctor, meanwhile, on our mercenary group, is aiming to get with the egg of one of the massive flying types. So the mercenary team rappel down, and the doctor of the group starts to talk to our mercenary, our lead, Scarlett Johansson's character, about open sourcing it to everyone, this cure, this potential cure, essentially, that they're risking their lives for, essentially, for all that initial money that she was in for. Anywho, unfortunately for them, the mother returns and begins attacking as the flyer is aimed back outside, and one of the other the guys that was with them gets snagged by the flyer. Speaking of getting snagged, so too does the doctor trying to get the cure, because it almost falls out of his hands, and then the pillar is let go, like collapses, but he manages to land in the water. So a little bit of convenience for him, as his rope is cut, and he plummets into said water. Meanwhile, the family continue to follow this pipe that they have spotted, and they're going to follow it into the so-called village that they were told about before the boat crashed. And Meanwhile, as they're diverging on the helipad location as the mercenary, our lead, grabs the briefcase very briefly. And indeed, the family reunite with our mercenary group at this juncture where they reach the same location. So it becomes the rich guy versus the older daughter, because earlier in the movie they set this up where the older daughter was like hanging off of the ledge of the boat, and the rich guy kind of just watched where she was just begging for help. So she's angry that he didn't do anything. But he has a gun on him. He took it from the helicopter from earlier, so that was also set up from earlier. So double set up to this payoff where now he has the gun and takes the case back, essentially, very briefly anyway. The younger daughter, as they're arguing, warns them to stop talking as the flying creature returns. So they rush inside the store that they're near. But the doctor and the sailor guy, I believe his name was Duncan in the movie, get split off from the rest of the group as these two find the lab, the actual lab from the beginning of the movie. The mercenary, our lead mercenary, watches as the rich guy gets broken away from his case due to this creature. But then proceeds to get distracted and then climbs in from above the store to get inside of it. The dad causes a distraction inside the store as they try to sneak out. Now, obviously, this is another homage to the original Jurassic Park, because of course it is. It's the one that is an homage to the raptor scene where they're in the kitchen, except now they're in this store with food in it. Very slightly different. And then the raptor is instead like this flying creature that can also walk and is hunting them still. But the family find the ventilation system, so they head inside there. Is around this time, because earlier in the movie it is set up that the mercenary says essentially that she did this thing that it would allow the helicopters to pin their location, so a helicopter is coming to get them, and it arrives at this juncture of the movie. And we see the big dinosaur, the bread dinosaur, in the background. As the rich guy now gets in the car that is there, as the mercenary joins the rest of the group inside the vents, and follows the dinosaur that is hunting them, the flyer. So the dock is almost too late, as the helicopter is almost getting ready to leave, but he sees the flare box and he grabs it and fires it off, which causes the helicopter to see it and come back. However, by the time it does swoop around, it gets grabbed in the air by said hybrid dinosaur and gets wrecked. So now it is purely up to them to escape, as Duncan finds the family in the vents as well, and the Merc rejoins them, shooting at the dinosaur, the flying one, to stop it in its tracks. So they get to this area where they're blocked off via these bar vents, and the small daughter, squeezes through the bars to get to the other side. The mutants on the outside, the flying dinosaur is on the opposing side, so they're kind of squeezed between two different dinosaurs right now. Luckily, the rich guy's vehicle is scooping through this area, as it were, as he grabs the massive dino's attention, at least temporarily speaking, until he gets grabbed by said hybrid dino and gets ripped in half, causing him to drop the briefcase, and the mercenary re-grabs the briefcase. He's dead. The rich guy is dead. He's ripped in half. But the big dinosaur isn't quite done yet. As it's looking at all its prey before it, Duncan does the next classic vintage Jurassic, homage to Jurassic Park, and that is lighting the flare to distract the dinosaur. This is one of the big ones. Of course, it's got to be in this movie too, right? So he does so, distracting the hybrid to him, as the rest of the family unit get on this other boat that they managed to get to in this area. Now, I don't know how this happens, but eventually we stop with Duncan being like, a few feet away, inches away from the hybrid dinosaur, getting ready to eat him, and that's where we cut away to the boat unit now, the mercenary boat unit with the family as well, and they swoop around to find Duncan completely fine. Not sure how that occurred. He was like right next to the hybrid with no other sense of distraction, so I don't know about that one. And yeah, the little dinosaur, the hut, gets taken too, because it like pops back up around this juncture of the movie, because it like fled earlier with the T-Rex scene and then sort of just pops back up via teleporting ability, as I mentioned before. So yeah, a few issues near the end of the movie, granted. I'd probably still give this movie a 6 out of 10. I think it's overall pretty fine-ish. A pretty basic plot. Find your 3 vials. Family just trying to escape after, I actually don't even recall why they were going. They were just like heading out in the water for whatever reason. But anyway, point being is that the movie's fine. And yeah, I think, I think the performances are also fine. Minor fixes here and there, like fixing how the big hybrid dinosaur escapes should be fixed. And then near the end of our sequence, figuring out how to get Duncan out of that situation more, have it be more believable rather than this, cut to teleport safety bullshit going on. Other than that, I think the movie is fine. So yeah, that's my review of Jurassic World Rebirth. If you ended up enjoying this review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure to check out those links in the description when you head to my petition about small YouTubers, so get to my PayPal where you can help support me and my channel directly, and there to my Discord server where you can join, collab, shield, a lot of cool stuff for free. And until next time, everyone, bye-bye.